Hey everybody, this is Steve Riley from LA Guns, and you're watching CMS TV. Peace.
And we are back with Janet
guys.
Gardner and Justin James. Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. Good to
Doing
talk to you
great.
both. Good to talk to you both on the backs of a really fun record. Let's talk about No Strings. Great record. Very diverse, probably more diverse than I thought I was going to hear, being honest. I thought it was just going to be kind of straightforward rock, and there's, ballads, there's ups and downs, peaks and valleys. So tell us all about it.
Well, that's, kind of what life is. It's got ups and downs, peaks and valleys, sad times, good times, fun times. So, we feel it all. So we put it all on in our music. So hopefully there's stuff that anybody could relate to.
Right.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And for you guys, this comes 4 years? Basically, it comes after the pre-pandemic record, I guess, is the way we're looking at things these days. Is everybody had a record that they were ready to do big things with, and then the world stopped and didn't let them, and now this is the new product. Is that close?
Pretty close,
Well,
yeah.
Actually, no, because Synergy, our last album, was made during the pandemic.
Okay.
So that came out like right as it was still in the pandemic.
We were
wasn't
still in it because that's what I was
Kind
going to
of.
say. The exciting thing with this one is we can actually go out and support it and play, whereas the last one, it came out and I think it was about 6 or 7 months. And in the music business, you've got about 1 to 2 weeks and you're gone. So,
Right.
I know, and we had to make the videos like at home because there was no venues open. There was no, so we're in the garage playing and just whatever.
Okay, let's do another video in the kitchen now.
Exactly.
Um,
One we haven't used yet, so just put in the kitchen for later.
Now, would you say that doing that record though during the pandemic helped your sanity in getting through that crazy time in our country's history?
yes, absolutely. It consumed us. I don't think we ever finished an album that fast. It was,
Well, there was nothing else to do.
yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
we walk the dog and then eat and then come down here in the basement and write songs.
It's better than watching the news. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I mean, it did save our sanity. I have to say it was very therapeutic. A couple of the songs on that album on Synergy were about the pandemic.
Right.
One of them was like funny, we're all going crazy. It was called Talk to Myself,
Right.
because that's basically what you had to do. You couldn't do anything else. And then the other one was a little more serious. It was called Lonely We Fight. It's sad, but we're all in this together and we're all going through the same stuff. So it sort of helped in that way too, that we could get some of those feelings out, that frustration.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward to No Strings, obviously you come into it in a better headspace. Does that make it, I guess I have two parts to this. A, does it make it more fun to write? And two, does it make it take longer to write because you're in a better headspace where you might have more to write about?
Yes, especially on your second question there, it definitely took longer. because we had a lot more to pull from, and we had other things just in life going on, just, you know, between our kids and, you know, everything else. So it did take some more time, but I think it was worth it. You know, where the last one, we were so consumed by it, we rushed it. And I'm proud of it. I'm happy. But this one, we definitely took more time trying to cross all our T's and dot all our I's.
Well, you want to raise the bar every time.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
It was like, okay, we got to make this one sound better than the last one. We got to, you know, spend a little more time on lyrics. We have to really kind of sift through this better. Every time you go out, you want to better yourself. So it did take longer, but worth it. I mean, it's still not perfect. There's still stuff that I go, oh, why didn't I do that over? Or why didn't you change that lyric? Or why didn't we do this?
Well,
and you'll always do that.
Well, you know what? Between you two and Erik up here, I'm sitting here with 3 musicians. None of you are ever satisfied with anything you do musically.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, from one musician to another, let me say that sounded super fat and fantastic.
Oh,
what I just heard,
so much,
even on my headphones right now.
Oh, thank you.
So kudos.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, thank you. Because I mean, it's funny because you do sit there and, you know, you mix and master yourself, and it's a double-edged sword. You know, on one hand, you've got the capability to tweak it as much as you want, but then you over tweak it. And
Right.
plenty of these songs that were like 45 or 50 mixes in, going, it's something 10 mixes ago.
Well,
And
I
recognize.
the best thing to do that we've started doing is play it for non-musicians.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not going to talk about the snare drum, and they're not going to talk about, oh, the bass or the this or the that. They're going to either like it and it sounds good to them and the song comes off, or they don't. It either gets them or it doesn't. And that's what counts, really. You can ask musicians all day long, and you're going to have 50 different opinions. Some will be good, some will be bad. No, I don't mean to say.
See, geez.
Here, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's better to get a less schooled opinion, because you know you want everybody you just want it to be as good as it can be for people who are wanting to hear it.
Right.
So, you know, it doesn't really matter if it's technically the greatest sounding album ever or not. You make it the best you can, and you make it you hope people will like.
Let me ask you both this. You know, obviously being old school like Chris and I, you've done recordings in the 80s and 90s, a totally different approach than what's done today. I mean, do you actively change how you go about recording, knowing that most people nowadays are accessing this on their phone and their earbuds, and has it changed the way you mix songs or anything like that?
Do you want to take that one for now?
Yeah, it does a little bit. I mean, you have to listen in all different sources.
Right.
I think, you know, I mean, to me, the
Agreed.
biggest one obviously is the car. You know, most people listen to music in the car. So you try to nail that car stereo sound the best you can. And then once you get that in, then we'll go to like the earbuds through the phone, the little Bluetooth speaker, and check it out there. And
or just the phone speaker.
Right. And then
Right. Exactly.
It's like the old Oratone speakers. Well, that's what this is now.
Mm-hmm.
So if it sounds good
Good
on
point.
here, you know, you're not going to hear the bass. You're not going to, but you know, if it comes off good on here,
You're in.
yeah.
That's what I was getting to, because that is nowadays, even myself, when I'm getting introduced to most things, if it's in a press article or something like that, I'm likely running around my house doing other things. I probably just have the phone on and click it for a second. And it's great if I can actually, you know, hear the drums, hear the bass, hear the vocals in that capacity. You definitely did a good mix.
Right.
Definitely. Well, let me ask you guys about being a rock and roll couple, which I cannot for the life of me figure out how you do. I mean, I've worked businesses with my now ex-wife, and there's your answer. But, you know, it was very difficult to be around that much of the time. And what I found, again, different world, but what I found was that the disagreements in the professional world hung around into the personal life. Music being so creative and so even more polarizing when you're in a creative mode, how do you keep the creative disagreements from getting into your day-to-day versus, you know, sitting in the car hating each other as you drive down the road to the grocery store or whatever?
Yeah, it's hard. You can't take it personally, and that's really hard to do because we do have a personal relationship and we have a professional relationship. So, yeah, you try to keep them from messing anything up. But the good news is we pick our battles very carefully, and we're really good at compromising. So I think, you know, that's the key, and we respect each other. That's big too. If you don't respect your mate, you're in trouble. If you don't respect the person you're collaborating with, that's not good either. So I think it boils down to those two things: compromise and respect. Right. And you know, there's stuff I listen to and I go, "Damn, Justin." Well, no, there's the song "Don't Turn Me Away," and there's a part in the middle that breaks down to just guitars and vocals, and I was hearing hand claps.
Right.
Oh, Boston. I'm like, oh, I'm stuck in Boston here. So I put claps on there and I put my own claps, you know, I'm recording my own clapping. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Justin's going to love it. And every time it goes by, I still go, I want my hand claps.
Oh,
That's just an example where it was like, okay, I'll let you have this one, and then he'll let me have one. And, you know, we compromise. It goes back and forth. We don't always agree. And, you know, I mean, in the end, he's probably right. I don't know. Maybe it would have been too Corny or too Boston. But I wanted hand claps.
Well, and that's one of the, like,
gave you your way.
Early on when we started even making music together, one of the things I learned pretty quick, you know, I mean, as a musician, you know, you kind of hear something in your head and you get stubborn about it a little bit. And you're like, no, this is how it should go. But I learned pretty quick that her outside ideas that she would throw out there that I might not agree with, but then we'd go with it and we'd try it. 9 times out of 10, she was right. And it sounded better. And it took it from a way that my brain just couldn't, you know, I wasn't going to write that song like that. But she added her influence to it, and then it created the whole final song, and it was worth it.
Well, it's hard to be soft with your vision because, you know, when you're writing a song by yourself, you have a vision for it, and it's very hard sometimes to keep that soft. Soft enough that someone else can go to put their input into it and make it better. And I think the more that we do that, and the more that we did compromise, the more we realized, hey, I trust you. So if you feel strongly about something, I'll go with it, and vice versa.
Was there any other anyone else in your circle that you would bounce off, you know, ideas or something? Would you would ask their opinion in such situations, like a third person?
My oldest brother is probably the main person we would go to. He got me into the music that I'm into at a very young age. I trust his opinion a lot, and I feel safe with him sending him stuff, and you know,
mediator, like a mediator almost.
Exactly, yeah. And you know, especially too when we would have 2 different ideas, you know, it was great to go to him and say, which do you like better? You know, so he's probably our main source.
No, he has been the tiebreaker on a few different issues. Yeah. So, you know, because he's a musician, but a big fan.
Right.
Listens to a lot of music, new music, older music. He's a music head. So, you know, he's definitely a good resource for tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you'll stalemate with only 2. You know, you
like,
need that.
Right. Do you like A or B?
Right.
A or B?
Okay, one more time. Now, are you sure? One more time. One more time.
Right on. Well, Janet, obviously you've had a lot of success with Vixen. You know, this band, you guys had significant success in the late 80s into the 90s. I actually saw you guys perform one time. Let's see if you remember this place. I saw you perform at a club in Monterey on the bay called Doc Ricketts. You remember that place? It was it was a hole in the
I think
wall
she tried to forget about that one, Chris.
It really was a small club that brought in big bands. It was kind of
Ricketts. Like isn't that a disease or something?
No, it was actually it was a nice club, but it was a smaller club, but it brought in big bands. But anyway,
was it okay?
Yeah, no, it was good. It was definitely good. It was fun. It was a fun time, and you guys were way too big to be playing. It's weird because this is gonna sound goofy, but back-to-back nights, I saw you guys one night and Boys to Men the next night at the same venue. And Boys to Men was obviously at that point they were like a 20,000 seat band.
Yeah.
It was like where bands went there when they were like in between gigs or something, like didn't have a fill between San Francisco and LA or something.
California is difficult like that.
Yeah.
West Coast is much harder. The East Coast is so easy to book. You just go boom, 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 boom down the coast.
Right.
Places to play, plenty of venues, big ones, small ones, theaters, whatever. California is not like that. It's harder to find, you know,
Sure.
going down places to play. So it was probably like, well, we can play this place or nothing. So,
Right.
Mhm.
So
It wasn't
gig.
always that way, but it certainly is now and has been for a while.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, the question I wanted to ask, and I personally don't have a ton of Vixen questions, but over the last 5 years or so, that now that you're doing Gardner James instead of Vixen, and you're not even billing yourself with the Vixen name or any of the versions of Vixen or anything, you're billing it as a new entity. Does it feel like you're starting over? Like, do you feel like you don't get the love or the attention that you earned from Vixen, and that you're really truly starting over like a brand new band?
well, yeah, I mean, the brand name is the brand name, and I don't have that. So, yeah, it's not totally like starting over because some people know who I am.
Sure.
We know who you are, Janet.
Yeah, what I did in the past. And we do play, you know, a few Vixen songs in our shows.
Sure.
So I think we kind of satisfy that audience somewhat. But yeah, it's kind of like starting over,
Okay.
quite. But yeah, it's a lot easier to have the brand name if we were playing as Vixen.
Right.
I don't
Would
know.
you even want that at this point?
That'd be hard to pull off. But
Well, get you a little dress, maybe some.
Are they able to bill it or Janet Gardner up Vixen? Are you able to put that into the name, or it can't be on there at all? I know we've dealt with stuff with Stephen Piercy like that.
We've never had a discussion about that. I mean,
Okay.
I left with my blessing to keep going, use Vixen,
Right.
whatever. And it was never really discussed. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's billed as, you know, the legendary voice of Vixen.
Oh my God, that sounds like us, right? We're
something like that.
right, as it should be. It is a legendary. It's so iconic, and that's you know, Edge of a Broken Heart 2 is just one of those songs that even as a guy, you turn up. You know, on the radio, right? It just
Real
rocks the whole song.
Real men will turn up Edge of a Broken Heart.
It's true. It's just so good, and your voice is so amazing. And that was back before auto-tune or anything like that. It's phenomenal, to be
Yeah,
honest.
you had to do it until everything was in tune. You had to keep singing until it was.
Now, Chris didn't know that Richard Marx was involved with the song, which I thought was really cool. And I just want to know if you had any memories of that or how that even came to be working with him.
God. Yeah. Well, we knew him because we had the same manager. So we met him at, like, you know, the barbecues that our manager and stuff. So we casually kind of knew each other, and, you know, we would talk once in a while, and he heard our demos and stuff, and he was like, yeah, you guys, it's super cool. I like what you got going. And then somehow at one point it was like, we should work together. We should try to write a song together, or, you know, do something together. And then his album came out. This was before he was famous.
Okay, you didn't really know who he was so much at that point.
Not really. I mean, we had heard his music too, and we knew he was a talented guy. And, you know, he had like everybody working on his record. He had the best musicians in the world playing on his record. So we knew, you know, it was a big deal. So, and we went and visited him in the studio, and so we got to know him a little bit. And then his record took off, so he went on the road, and it's like, well, so much for working with him. He's gone. But he came back for like Christmas vacation or something and said, I got an idea for a song for you guys. You want to go in and record it? We thought our album was done, but the record company said, well, of course, we'll finance that if you want to do a song with Richard Marx. So, you know, we went in and did it. It was super fast. It was like 2 days.
Wow.
Quick yeah, and I didn't have lyrics literally until I was standing out in front of the microphone with no lyrics. Like,
Wow.
I don't know what I'm doing here. Richard Marx is sitting out on the other side of the glass. I'm standing out there. I got no words. And Fee Waybill comes in at the last minute, goes, here's your lyrics. I'm like, all righty then, let's do this. No, I'm a little uncomfortable, but, so and it was great. It was so much fun. He was very cool, easy to work with. Obviously, he has brilliant ideas. So if I was struggling with something, boom, he'd give me an idea and next, go to the next part. It was like one of the easiest vocals I've ever done.
Wow.
So
That's
it was
amazing.
a great experience.
Sure.
Loved
Justin, let me ask you, obviously working with Janet, you are always going to have whatever you do compared to Vixen. It's just going to happen.
Right.
There's no way around it. How does that put any kind of pressure on you to create toward that sound, or do you actually push yourself to not because I'll be honest, I don't necessarily hear it in those strings. I don't hear clone band at all. It sounds unique, which and believe me, I was looking for anything to say, well, this points to that, and
Right.
and I didn't hear it. So do you feel pressure to do that? Yeah, exactly.
You know what? No, I haven't. I mean, I'm a fan of Vixen. Those first two albums I think are great. And, I came up in the 80s, that whole genre is my go-to music.
Sure.
Kiss Asylum is one of my favorite albums, instead of Rock and Roll Over, which I love Rock and Roll Over too. But, my heroes are like Jakey Lee and, George Lynch, and then Gary Moore and John Sykes.
Okay.
So I've always just kind of pulled from my influences of, and sometimes it might have some similarities just because, Rev It Up came out in that time period in the first Vixen album. But no, I don't ever shoot to try to match or repeat it or anything like that. And I think that's what kind of makes what we do special is we both come. I mean, even though Janet was from the 80s scene, she's more of a 70s rhythm and blues fan, and I'm more of a glam metal fan.
Okay.
When we mix those two together, that's where we come up with these sounds. So
let me ask you some guitar stuff as one guitar guy to another guitar guy. For one, the playing I heard was top notch.
Thank you.
And I dig it. Now, for the new record, what are you doing for amps and stuff? Are you doing the emulated amps or are you doing the real amps? What do you got going on?
When we first started recording together, I was doing the amps. I had a rectifier that I was using. And I love that it sounded great in the room, but miking it and always making sure that mic was in the same spot so it was consistent was a pain in the neck. So it's going down to grab it. So
what do we got here, Janet?
Yeah. So today, in the last 3 albums, the Line 6 Helix.
Nice. Cool.
Wagner Ecstasy amp simulator set up in here, and
I have something with the little mini, an HX.
Oh yeah, awesome. I mean, they're great because you can take them on the road. You can have the same sound when you go to a show. You don't have to worry about the back line. If you're a rectifier, Mesa guy, or a Marshall guy, you always have the same sound. So I love this thing. And another newer guitar player that I'm a huge fan of is DJ Ashba. And his work on that first Beautiful Creatures album, I mean, that was life-changing for me. All the different sounds and effects that he threw into those songs were so cool. And that's what I love about this Helix is that there's ways to dial in those funky filters and make the guitar sound new and different. And it's refreshing, and it opens up a whole doorway to new ideas and different sounds. So so it's a guitar straight into the Helix, plugged into a Universal Apollo, and then right into the DAW, and that's it.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's so cool. No, I'm totally into it. And I got something else that they've been talking about, the Tone X.
Oh yeah.
Pedal. I just ordered it, so I'll have to get back to everybody on that. But Matt, our bass player, who's a studio engineer, he goes, "You have to get this thing." Because you can actually scan and model your own amps, and stuff. In his studio, he has some cool amps he he has his available, and it's like a community, I guess, of people that uploaded their stuff. Line 6 has something like that also.
Right.
But this is a growing community of people that all uploaded their actual amps and stuff, and it's growing. So and it was pretty affordable, so I threw down for it. So I'm trying to stay on top of future technologies with guitar stuff, but it is awesome that it's all at our fingertips and getting it smaller, the rigs and everything.
Absolutely. And shoot, I trust anything. Matt's such a great producer. So
Yes.
yeah, so that's awesome. I'm curious to hear what you think of it too.
Yep. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And here comes my music novice of equipment, but is part of the reason that you guys buy this kind of equipment and use this kind of equipment because in today's world, it's just not efficient to take a boatload of equipment with you on the road, that you need small, but you can still capture the full sound or even more than the full sound, depending on the settings, with a smaller device. Is that why you guys buy this stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, I love that I can, because, most dates are fly dates and you're getting on an airplane, and it's great that your carry-on can be kind of your whole amp rig.
Right.
You have the same sound every night. The room doesn't matter. Not many people carry their own cabinets. The cabinets don't matter. Sometimes, when you have to bring an amp head and use other cabinets, and the cabinets speakers didn't sound right.
It's getting bad for me lately too, because I am old school like that, and I was bringing this. I still, you have to be good at setting it up, because
Right.
it does seem to kind of sound a little different. You have to be able to know how to use it enough to get in there at each venue and make a couple little enhancements. But I am old school in the sense that we typically ask for Marshall 900s or something to be there, and I actually just go through it, and I have 6 Boss pedals. But I noticed lately, maybe because they're not upkeeping on the equipment, these backline companies, but it is changing from night to night, the quality of the amps. And I'm thinking about doing what you guys are doing, going back to that, giving the front of house guy a straight feed off Helix or what have you. I've even heard of being able to use the Tone X with the Helix stuff.
Oh,
at the
nice.
same time. So I'm going to look into that.
The only
It's all
thing
fascinating.
The only thing I miss, though, with having the Marshall stack behind you is that air and that
Yeah.
pushes behind you. Because if you don't have a good wedge or something like that. I mean, we've had shows where the sound guy has no clue what he's doing, and
Totally.
your bass player's coming out of your wedge instead of your guitar, and they got it backwards, and then it sucks because you're at the mercy of that, and you can't hear a damn thing that's going on.
Monitor guys could destroy, especially singers. They could really ruin a whole tour. One bad monitor person.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
It's true.
Right on. Well, let's dig into the record a little bit here before we get to touring. But I wanted to ask about the title track, which is definitely highly personal to somebody. Tell me about the song "No Strings."
It was really late at night, and Justin was just down here just playing, and he played that opening thing, which sounds nothing like anything we would ever do. He was just messing around, and I came down and I go, I'm in love with that. Let's record this right now. So we did, and the lyrics just kind of came out of what the song spoke to me about.
Okay.
It seemed very personal and very intimate. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what's interesting too is
Man of my heart.
Oh,
yeah, I mean it's kind of the meaning of the song, and we name the album after, but they have 2 different meanings kind of to it. I mean, basically, the song is
For sure.
you know,
Well, the song is, obviously just I would do anything for you kind of feeling. So, it's definitely singing him.
oh, thank you.
oh, that's sweet.
People are gonna throw up. Nauseating!
But as far as being the album being named after it, it's kind of one of those that we've been lucky. Our label here in America is Pavement, and they've always been super cool to us. That they never tell us you have to sound this way or you need songs to sound like this. And Frontiers joined up on this album too, and they kind of did the same thing Pavement did. They just said, we like what you have, don't change anything. So it's kind of was saying there's no one pulling our strings. There's no strings behind this of somebody
Right.
else a third party telling us you have to sound like this or you need more songs like this on the album. Get rid of this song. No, it's us just doing what we want to do and just having fun and enjoying ourselves. So
Sure. It's interesting that you're working with both Pavement and Frontiers because again, this is me watching it, but to me looking at it, it's like they have two different agendas. Pavement, definitely diverse. They have, they have bands like Plush or Dystopica or whatever that are very much modern. They have, they have a few old school bands, and then they have like your record, where I'm thinking they probably know the name is old school, but the music does not necessarily only fit in there. Where Frontiers only wants old school, that's all they want. Is it difficult to kind of build a career path, or not a career path, but a year schedule working with two masters that have different agendas?
Well, it's kind of a weird situation. Frontiers kind of tried to reach out to us a couple of times, but we wanted to stick with Pavement.
Okay.
So they got in touch with Pavement and said, hey, you can keep North America, but we want to do the rest of the world. And for us, that's a perfect setup.
Sure.
Because Pavement's strength is here in North America, and Frontier's strength is obviously worldwide, but their strength is really in Europe. So for us, it was a no-brainer. Like, this will be the perfect setup.
Well, and it helps a lot too. Like, one of the reasons we went with Pavement when we did was because of their lineup. We saw Candlebox on there, and we saw, they had the older bands, but they also had new bands. So we thought, okay, this is kind of cool. We're not going to pigeonhole ourselves into one specific, being an 80s band or, that sound. Because our first album wasn't very 80s sounding at all. It had definitely some more modern influences on it. And we thought that'd be cool. We'll go with somebody a little different. But the thing we missed out on was, Frontiers is a lot of people in the whole 80s scene didn't have a clue of what we did or what we were doing. So now at least it gets us out there to more people and now making people more aware of who we are and what we do. And so it works.
Right. We're still getting a few comments here and there of like, I had no idea if she was doing stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, well, this is our fourth album. Where are you been?
Well, the internet has a way of not only letting everybody and their brother record something, but also hiding everybody and their brother because there's such a volume of music now.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's great because it's so easy to put stuff out, but it's almost too easy to put stuff out that, again, in a day or two, people have already moved on. They're on to the next thing because there's so many choices out there.
Right. The algorithms decide you're done.
Right.
Next.
Certainly. Well, I know we mentioned touring. What are you guys' plans for the next, let's say, 12 months?
We have our first show to support the album next Saturday, or this Saturday, actually. We're going to be playing here in Chicago. And we're actually playing at the place that Janet and I first met, so it's very special to us. And we're going to be with Queensryche at that show. We love the guys in Queensryche.
Nice.
They're awesome. And then throughout the summer, we're going to be trying to think here. We're playing with Sebastian Bach and Quiet Riot, another actual local show for us, which is always local shows are great because you don't have to worry about going through TSA and getting on an airplane.
Right.
And then we're on the East Coast. I think in October, actually, right before that, we're going to the Whiskey. So we'll be at the Whiskey A Go-Go in September 23rd, I think.
Yeah, it's all of our dates are on the
easiest
website.
place. Yeah, JanetGardnerMusic.com has got all our dates.
Because they're
on
sporadic. It's not a tour per se. We're planning some dates.
Okay.
And then at the start of the year in January, we're going down under and we're going to Australia for a couple weeks.
Nice.
With a band called Midnight City that's based out of the UK. That great guys, great band. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
Wow. Well, a lot going on for you guys, including the new release. It is called No Strings. It is Gardner James for people that are looking for it on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. But don't look for it on Apple Music or Spotify. Buy it somewhere, for God's sakes. Help the bands out. It's okay if you listen, if you're in your car or something, but you need to buy at least buy a shirt or buy a CD or buy something so that the bands, including you guys, can continue to do this. So,
Right.
all right. Well, I tell you what we're gonna do. We are gonna wrap this one up with a little bit of the video from Living Free, and to wrap it up, why don't you tell us a little bit about the video for this one and about the song?
All right, the song, same kind of story. Justin was messing around. Well, actually, we put that one away for a while.
We did.
We worked on a bunch of other songs first. He came up with like the
Neener.
Exactly.
Sounded
It's like
just,
an Italian siren.
Right?
oh God, it's getting late. And then, I mean, lyrically, we just wanted it to be a really empowering song. You know, if stuff isn't right in your life, fix it. Be free. Simple concept. But I think everybody gets stuck in things where they shouldn't be. Toxic situations, stuff like that. Just get rid of it. Live
Right.
free. That's what it's about.
And what's kind of cool too is the video was shot. There's this new theater that opened up out here in Chicago, ironically called the Vixen Theater.
Nice.
So we rented that out, and kind of cool.
Perfect.
Very good.
Yeah, it's funny how things like that are like, ooh, that's weird.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, one more time, the album Gardner James, No Strings, and we will finish with I'm Living Free. And Janet, Justin, thanks so much for joining us here on CHRIS AKIN Presents.
Thank you
It was a
guys so
pleasure.
much. Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Here we
Thank
go.
you both.
If I told you the sky was blue, you'd try to tell me it's red. Don't need to bother to defend myself from crazy things that you say.